One staff member saw napkins being folded in mid-air. Some have seen her playing around the ruins, which has long been since abandoned. The caretaker of the property that used to go up there and scare people off with a shotgun. Welcome to Friday Night Ghost Frights. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Explore with us. Well, a couple weeks ago we did a Friday Night Ghost Frights on the most haunted town in the state of Maryland, the town that I used to live in, Frederick, Maryland. Loaded with ghost stories, loaded with haunts, but yet there's still another town in the state of Maryland that is almost right there up to par with Frederick. In fact, some would say it surpasses Frederick. So it just comes down to, what's your opinion? Well, that other town is Ellicott City, Maryland, and it is absolutely loaded with haunted locations. And like Frederick, they run a lot of ghost tours out of there. Halloween is a big time for them, and there are some fantastic haunted locations there. So for this Friday Night Ghost Frights, we're going to cover that town because, in my opinion, they do run a very close second to Frederick. Well, others will say that Frederick runs a close second to Ellicott City. So let's get into it. So previously, I have run a couple of Friday Night Ghost Frights on a few specific locations there within Ellicott City, Maryland. One is the Hayden House, which is known for its cooking ghost. This is now the law library there of Howard County. And really what's interesting about this building is that the entire courthouse is surrounded. In fact, the first time that I was there looking for the house, I walked by it probably 2 or 3 times until I finally realized it was actually just engulfed by the entire court building. So I'm not going to get into the full story here because I do have an entire video on it, plus it's featured in my book, Ghosts of Maryland, as are all of these stories. Of course, what happens here, this was the house of Edwin Hayden, who was the first clerk of courts of Howard County. It's the cooking ghost, the smells that waft up from a kitchen that no longer exists. Now, the apparition of this ghost has actually been seen there. One staff member saw napkins being folded in mid-air. There's another that saw a strange cloud of billowy white smoke. Others have seen a chair rocking on its own. And of course, there's always the smell of breakfast wafting through the air, without a kitchen. Now, while I was touring this area of Ellicott City, it rests on top of a great hill, and the courthouse in the Hayden House with the cooking ghost is just a part of that. But there's also 2 other very haunted locations up there. One is the old Patapsco Female Institute, which has long been since abandoned, and really there's just a couple walls and the Roman columns that are still standing there. This ran as a private school for many years until 1891, when it ran into competition with the public schools. Of course, sitting on top of Ellicott City's highest elevation away from everybody else, it fell into disrepair and neglect. It's now opened at times for events, and people have seen the ghost of a girl named Annie, attributed to a young girl who passed away there, had grown very ill. Her parents came to get her, but she died before her parents could actually make it to retrieve her. Some have seen her playing around the ruins, while others have gone up there to sled down the hill during the winter time and have seen her peeking out from behind some of the trees to watch them have their fun. Just down the hill from the Patapsco Female Institute is the Mount Ida Visitor Center. This is a small, cute little home that was owned by Miss Ida Tyson, who lived well into her 90s. Many have dubbed her the cleaning ghost of the Visitor Center, since she has routinely been seen milling about the house, cleaning it up, keeping it in pristine condition. Custodians of the location don't even bother sometimes going up to the 2nd floor because they know that Ida has already cleaned it. It appears she's just as lively in death as she was in life. Now, those 3 locations are on the tallest hill of Ellicott City near the historic section. As you go across the small valley that cuts through the downtown and go to the other hill, it's probably the most haunted location in Ellicott City, known as Lilburn Castle. I've also covered this in another video here, another Friday Night Ghost Fright here on the Haunted Road Media channel, but a few highlights. Unfortunately, the Hazelhurst family spent a significant amount of time grieving the loss of loved ones at Lilburn. Lizzie, as well as several of their children, died rather prematurely in life, and it has long been believed that one of their daughters died at childbirth at Lilburn. The most common occurrence they encountered was the sound of footsteps heard within the ominous tower that once stood at the back of the house, where the battlements now rise. The family dog was particularly tuned in to the forces at Lilburn, visibly afraid in the mansion and refusing to go near a small room along the second-floor hallway. Reports of strange sounds and occurrences from this area of the house increased and caused people to speculate that Henry Richard Hazlehurst had returned from the dead in defiance of the architectural change. More of the same was reported about Lilburn for years until Sherwood Baldersons purchased the mansion in the 1960s. It was under Balderson's watch that reports of supernatural activity began to transcend that of previous generations. And as the evening waned, many of them began remarking about the crystal chandelier swinging about in the dining room. They were distressed at the action of the chandelier, since there was no breeze of any sort to propel it, but the Baldersons chalked it up to another haunting by one of their resident spirits. And then there are Ellicott City's fire stations, two of which appear to be quite haunted. The first being, well, Ellicott City's first fire station, built in 1889. It's now a museum. However, people have routinely seen and heard door slams and footsteps emanate throughout the entire building. And then there's fire station number 2, which is haunted by the spirit known as Mr. Harry, who is likely the fire chief that served there from 1935 till 1957. And then also one that is very close by but not in Ellicott City, that's the Ilchester Hell House. It's no longer standing. It used to be St. Mary's College, a seminary there in Ilchester, again right down the road from Ellicott City. Of course, this location is more of an urban legends, where people stated that the school closed due to murders, which was a complete fabrication. However, people used to venture up to the abandoned building and get spooked out of their minds all the time, whether it was from themselves, perhaps some spirits that were lingering about the old buildings, or the caretaker of the property that used to go up there and scare people off with a shotgun. Aside from the stairs that climb up the hill, there's nothing that remains of this location, but it is steeped in folklore and mystery of the entire area around Ellicott City. Thank you for watching Friday Night Ghost Frights. Please let us know what you thought of this video in the comments below, and if you've not yet, please subscribe and click that little bell icon for notifications. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Until next Friday night.